pray for you and with you.
Prayer is the key that unlocks heaven's door. In Philippians 4, 6 and 7, God cautions us not to be anxious about anything.
Instead, in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus.
Join us every Thursday night at 6 p.m. on our Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as Channel 98 on Central Cable TV, to experience this peace that passeth all understanding. You can join our global prayer family by praying that God continues to lead and bless this ministry,
by becoming a faithful viewer and inviting your friends and family to like and share our programs,
with your kind donations as well as your generous financial contributions.
Contact us at 501-613-9351
or send us an email at atn@cbn.belizeunion.org.
We are located at 10 3/4 miles Northern Highway at the Tubal Trade and Vocational Institute. Thank you for being a part of the ATN ministry.
And we pray God's richest blessings upon you and your family.
Avoid becoming totally obsessed by every changing statistic. You know, if we sit and watch every change, we're going to continue to become saddened, desperate, and hopeless. We need to be informed. We can't be the proverbial ostrich ignoring the situation, but we can look towards things more hopeful. Develop an attitude of gratitude. For everything and in every day, there is some reason to be thankful. And I'm thankful for the privilege of being able to share these thoughts with you, because as you may be thinking many thoughts that are similar to mine, we need to share positive and meaningful thoughts and options.
Javier Canul Sr., father of our very own Pastor Jeremy Canul. Good morning, Mr. Canul. Thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Hi, good morning, Ms. Neal, and thank you for having me.
Yes.
Representing EMTs and EMS all over the country, including the world. I'm doing fine, and thank you. I feel emotional today. Since I heard that my sons were here, I'm like, oh, cool. Why to put me last? The father normally come first, then the kids.
The Canuls are always here, and we always appreciate you guys lending us your God-given service, your God-given skills, to impart information and knowledge to those of our viewers. To our viewers, we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, and we're also live on Channel 98. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Stay with us. We are live here at the studio today, and feel free to drop in the comment section questions for Mr. Canul. I want to also let you know that he is a trained EMT.
That's right.
As well as
with paramedic training. So yeah.
Because I know you have a whole long list of qualifications.
Yeah. Javier Canul, I am an EMT with paramedic training. I have been involved in the EMS world for going on 23 years. There's a lot behind that, though, because before that I was in the military. I did medical training in the military. I did a lot of medical stuff. I moved on in 23 years. I was working at birth for 17 years, of which I was a training coordinator for 12 years. I was the training center coordinator for American Heart Association for 10 of those 12 years. And in 2017, I decided to move on. I've created my own company with the help of my sons and Dr. Hidalgo, who assisted me to this move.
Yes, I'm going to
hear where I stand at this point. Yeah.
Company later on in
Yes.
the program. But I know we've been using EMT from the beginning of the program, and some of our viewers might be wondering, what in the world is EMT? Tell us. What does the abbreviation EAT means? Okay. And you can follow up by sharing with our viewers what do EMTs do.
Okay. So basically, EMT stands for Emergency Medical Technicians. And what do? We do a lot of pre-hospital work. I like to call ourselves doctors out of the field. We follow a protocol that is written by doctors, and everything that we do out in the field has to remain within our brain, because we don't have a book to watch and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. All right, they said do that. Okay, we're gonna do this. No, we have to carry it in here. So we have to do an intensive training, and these intensive training are things that you would do. In my case, I did my training in 1 month, and it was very rough because 1 month in consistent study practice, a lot of time away from home and that kind of thing. And there's also, it depends on the organizers, if they want to out within 6 months or 3 months and that sort of thing. But if you ever decided or you ever think about being an EMT and you want to help to save lives in pre-hospital care, then I would advise you to start out by doing a basic first aid course. That's where it starts. And as you build yourself up, you'll decide whether you want to do this or not. It actually creates a stepping stone or a springboard to any career you would like. I know several people, for example, the first birth supervisor, who is now a gynecologist, by the way, Dr. John Arana, he started out by being an EMT. And then he climbed up the ladder to being a paramedic, and then finally he became a gynecologist. We have a lot of respect for him. People say he's like the godfather of EMS in this country. And then, of course, I have my sons, who I'm very proud of. During my time doing pre-hospital care work at the EMTs, I used to go home with some interesting stories, sit them down and talk to them about it. And they used to follow my books, read my books, and I guess that propels them forward to have the career that they have today. So that's what an EMT does. It actually sets a stepping stone for you. For all the young people who are in school and don't know what to do with their lives, and you're still stuck in choosing a career, I'm telling you, being an EMT is a career. Yes, it is a career.
We want to say how much we are proud as well of Dr. Javier and Dr. Joshua.
Hey, thank you.
And we want to say how proud we are of you for, imparting this wonderful knowledge to these young men, and likewise, you don't stop. You keep sharing. And from the time I came in contact with you, you've always been at the forefront of, EMT.
Yes.
And I'm sure this program today, we have a lot that we're going to learn. As we move on, I want to thank you for sharing that information so far. How did you get into this field?
Wow.
Did you just wake up one day and say, you know, Mom, I want to be an EMT? Give us the story. How did you get into being
Okay.
an EMT?
It's a long story, and if you need to interrupt me at any point, let me know. Basically, from a young kid, I've always wanted to be a movie star.
Oh.
That was my goal, a movie star.
Wow.
I ended up being Ozzy the Clown, but that's another story. And opportunities never exist in that area. So as I continued through high school, I realized that, hey, I need to choose a career. And at that point, I took biology at high school, and I wanted to be a medical officer. My family, we're a member of six, 2 boys and 4 girls, and my dad really had it. We didn't have it too well, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I didn't go to sixth form. I just stayed at high school, and as I left, I joined the Belize Defense Force immediately because I remember those commercials on TV where it says the Marines want you and we can careers and all kind. And so I joined the Belize Defense Force, and I was hoping to get a scholarship in the military to become a medical officer. Never happened, and then I started having a family, and so I decided to left the Belize Defense Force, and I was out there for a while. I started venturing into Ozzy, and that's a whole story by itself. So we'll leave it there. But when I came back to Belize, I met Dr. John Arana, by the way, who was also a military personnel. And he called me and said, "Why, this at the time, we got a course for you. You need to call now." And the course already started like 2 days before. And I said, "Okay, cool." And I never know what it's all about. I just know that, just like you asked me what I never know what. And I decided I'm going to pursue this, and I went in there, and I came in, I think, about third on the program, and that's it. Immediately after that, Mrs. Burks, who was the personnel there, she hired me, and that was it. That's how I got into being an EMT. And then there's a lot of story after that. If you want me to keep going, say. Yeah.
Well, I know your journey. Your journey is super long, and I like that you said a few minutes ago. You spoke to that young person. I want you to go back to speaking to that young person that maybe on the brink of graduation right now. I don't know where to go, what to do. May have had a passion like yours and may not know how to start, how to get into it.
Yeah.
Kindly share with them the steps.
Okay. So, by the way, now the Belize Defense Force have lots of opportunities. So, if that's one way you can go, if you'd like to go through that channel. But I would like to tell you that if you have a background in biology, physics or chemistry, they help you a lot because you have to know the anatomy of the body, you have to know how the body works, the function, everything. If you can handle blood again, that's a big part of it. I advise you take a basic first aid training and move up the ladder. Do a basic first aid training, do an advanced first aid training, do a medical first responder program. A basic first aid is 1 day, advanced is another additional day, and then medical first responder is 2 weeks program. And then doing the EMT, well, it depends on how the organizers want it. They could crush it. A lot of people complain about that 1 month because it's really tough. Yeah, it's intense. And so they spread it out in 3 months. I think they're now doing online EMS program. I think the last class was online.
Where can the person access?
You could check with Bert. Bert and another company, ambulance company down south, which is called Southern Emergency Services, are the only 2 companies that offer these programs. You can do it outside of Belize, out of the country, but it has a lot of value.
Costly,
Yeah,
right?
costly. Yeah. But these are the 2 companies that offer in them, and so you'd have to check with them consistently to see when they would offer this program, so that they can get you involved. Yeah.
And that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
One that just be prepared, and I need to say this because people think that when I say pre-hospital care, we have to remember that we are the doctors in the field. Whether you need to stop a bleeding, and it's not just stopping a bleeding, you have to recognize the type of bleeding to know what you're going to do. You need to know how to open an airway and when, and using the correct technique to open an airway. You need to know how to start IVs. You need to go to the morgue. You need to witness a post-mortem because you need to know.
Thank you.
It's a lot of technicality because remember, you are out there in the field alone.
Okay.
No doctor is out there guiding you. Do this, do that. unless there are times when you can pick up that phone and you do what we call online medical direction, and that doctor will guide you and say, okay, go ahead and do this and do that and all that kind of thing. But you have to see up. One of the biggest thing and challenges a lot of people face is when it's time to see a postmortem, and it's important because you need to know where your organs are, and you need to know if somebody get hurt, yeah, what they are hurt, if they get hurt, yeah, what get hurt, if they get shot in a certain area, what you do, how you deal with that, because you need to know where the organs are. All right, so that's about the most challenging thing when you see a postmortem, looking at somebody being physically cut open, playing with organs, and sometimes the pathologist will just spin a little blood on you. And Dr. Sanchez is, by the way, Dr. Sanchez, I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Sanchez. He is one of the pathologists that does a lot of guiding for EMTs in the country, when it comes to going to see.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is how you feel, but I feel at times sometimes EMTs they don't get the recognition as they should. You know, I feel like a lot of other departments get the EMT, but then when you call for the ambulance, that's not the doctor who's coming.
It's that
It's
EMT.
it's not the surgeon that's coming. The first person you meet
is the
EMT.
EMT.
The EMTs are the people who are on the ambulance. So I don't feel that your department gets that respect. You know, if anything goes wrong, the EMT takes the blame. You know, so I don't know, what can you add to that?
Okay,
Do you share that sentiment?
let me just say that from my perspective, like when I came in here, you told me that I'm a very familiar face, and a lot of people, I have a lot of people respect me for who I am. So that comes with you knowing your work and you demonstrating that you know your work. If when I was on the ambulance, and I still do work on the ambulance, because every year we have to do refresher classes to get a license to practice every year. And so when I go on the ambulance and I were to come to your home to treat your relative, I wouldn't just treat them. Part of my job is to make sure I educate them, educate you, and say, listen, okay, miss, so this is what you do next time. This is how you do this. I am doing this because this is how it will help the patient. So you need to learn this so that, you know, when I come, you know what I'm doing. So I see it as part of my job as educating you, the general public, and also educating the family members themselves, so that if in the future something like that happens, they can come back and fix it. They know exactly what to do. Sometimes you don't need to call the ambulance. Sometimes you just do. And one example of that is this. Please don't say that I say you don't have to call the ambulance, right? I just need to make that crystal clear. Sometimes the patient might not be breathing well, and all you need to do is just push them up, put some pillow under them, let their head back, and it opens the airway. You're able to breathe properly.
And we want to, that's a little foresight into what we're going to look at when we get into the second segment. I don't want you to be running ahead of the game.
I'm just mentioning that, I'm just mentioning based on the fact that an EMT needs to educate the public or the patient as to what they're doing so that they can gain respect. In retrospect, however, we need to understand that because EMT is a new service, well, it's not new. It started in 2020. In Belize, it took off like lightning, but because people still do not realize what an EMT does, they don't have any respect for you, right? They see the ambulance and they call you ambulance driver. I mean, call me ambulance driver, but remember I do other things. I mean, I drive an ambulance, but I also take care of my patient.
Even the drivers and
That's right.
It's not like a taxi man. You just drive.
Yeah.
Even
but we need to stick a pin there though, because it's not in all cases. You can look at the government. Some government, like probably the ambulance in San Ignacio, probably the ambulance in Corozal and Orange Walk, they're not trained. It's only certain areas. Like we had some EMTs who were working at Bert and the branch staff in Belmopan. Some EMTs branch staff and in Dangriga. So there are some areas that has EMTs driving and working as EMTs, but some other areas like Punta Gorda, San Ignacio, Orange Walk and Corral, there's no EMT who is working as an EMT in that area. So basically it'd be like ambulance, just a driver. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for that clarity. I know in the beginning you said you invested 17 years working with Bert,
Yes.
but now you have your own corporation. Tell us a little bit about.
Wow.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. At birth, as the training coordinator, I had a vision, or not a vision. My job was to find ways in how to get things done. And I would always like to give big respect to Miss Yvette Burks, who was there at birth. She was my boss. I have a lot of respect for her. I just want to make that known crystal clear. She was the one who actually pushed me to a point where I realized what my job was. And part of my job was to find ways for people to want to learn and want to come to Bert to take classes. And we did countless work together at Bert. And at some point, I just realized that, you know what, I need to move on. And I moved on. Okay?
And growth is good. Change is good.
Yeah.
You know, you learn and you feel like it's time for you to fly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
then once Mrs. Yvette moved along, I decided I'm going to move to visions. People are not seeing things the same way, and I decided to move on. So
some of the services you offer, what makes your corporation different from?
So I ventured out and I formed this company called ABC Life Support. I spoke to my sons about it, and they said it's a great idea. In fact, when they came back from studies, they were also my students. They participated in my class, and I had to teach them what I knew. I am still specialized in what we call advanced cardiac life support. That's dealing a lot with the heart. I am specialized in doing CPR. I am specialized in how to read cardiac rhythms. And I teach this to doctors and nurses. So when they see these things, they know exactly what to do. What to do meaning, do I need to give this drug? Do I need to step back and let things work out? What do I need to do?
Yes.
I offer basic life support. I offer basic first aid. I offer advanced first aid. Up to medical first responder, I offer. And my sons were the ones who helped me to put together a lot of these programs based on my experience and my hands-on of what I do. And then later on, I decided that I needed to get Dr. Hidalgo aboard, somebody who is qualified much more than my sons. And Dr. Hidalgo is an internist for adults. And he came aboard and he said, I like what you're doing and I would like to support you. Well, I went to him and he said yes. And so I have him aboard now. So we have Dr. Hidalgo and my two sons who oversee everything that we do. So I have to give great thanks for that. I went to the ministry when I formed this company, Ministry of Health, because you have to go through certain things, and the ministry authorized me to continue to teach these things. So that's what I do now. I continue to teach these things. I cater to anybody. I cater to church groups. I cater to television stations. I remember to companies. I don't want to call the company's name for different reasons. I offer this in general to anybody. And my dream is to make sure the entire country, but I'm starting small, Belize City. Everybody in Belize City learn basic first aid. That's my yeah.
And for those of our viewers who may be interested in reaching out to you, because I know your training is one of a kind. You have a base per se. You go to wherever that person is or wherever the organization is. So for that person that may be interested in you coming into their business place or their organization to do a training, do you mind sharing your contact information for them to reach out to you?
Sure. I have a Facebook page to start with. It's called ABC Life Support BZ, which you might see during this program. And but if you'd like to reach me directly, you can reach me at 628-7999. 628-7999. Easy number to remember. So when you think about that number, think about training, think about ABC Life Support. I want to say that there is training being offered all over, but I still want to consider myself because I don't teach from a book. I teach from experience, things that I've done, and that's where my teaching comes from. And I have three of the best people behind me. So give us a call. You won't ever regret it.
You feel like you're in that marine video again.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Javier. We're coming down to our first half of the program, and I know we have a lot more exciting things we want to talk about. We have EMT Week that we're celebrating this week. So when we come back to our viewers, we're going to be talking about EMT Week, some of the activities you guys have planned. Also, we'll be looking at maybe an experience, one or two of that you've gone through, maybe good or bad, as an EMT over your how many years? 20 odd years of being in the service.
23 years it will be this year.
Many things, you
Yes,
know.
definitely.
And as well, we will end off the program with a demo.
Well, we'll see how that
We
works out.
And set without having a demo. So stay with us. We have a lot more that we want to share. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
An hour between eating and sleeping may lower stroke risk. A 1,000-patient study presented at this year's European Society of Cardiology Congress found that waiting 60 to 70 minutes before going to bed after eating reduced the risk of stroke by 66%. And for every 20 minutes more that you wait, stroke risk drops another 10%. That's a fact. But there's hope. Here's a health tip that takes little effort. Wait at least an hour to go to sleep after eating. Not only will you cut your risk of stroke, but previous research has shown that you'll also decrease your risk of acid reflux disease and sleep apnea. So have an earlier dinner and a better night's sleep.
Life comes in different seasons. I embrace change, and while it adds value to my life, I also need some kind of a vision, like where am I going? What is my guide? The Bible reassures me. God's word never changes. You know, the rain is going to hit and feelings and opinions come and go. I mean, we live in an unstable world. God talks to me through his word. It's like a fire that keeps me alive. Here, I can find rest and peace during all uncertainty. Studying the Bible gives me assurance every day.
Hi, I'm Pastor Elijah Davis.
I'm Pastor Denny McCullough.
We are the hosts of your Bible study series, Words of Wisdom. In 2 Timothy 3:16, God reminds us that all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof,
For correction and for instruction in righteousness.
Words of Wisdom is a specially designed program brought to you by ATN in an effort to share the Advent message to our friends and faithful viewers who are yearning to build a growing and saving relationship with Jesus Christ. If you want to learn more about our rich Adventist heritage, basic fundamental belief, counsel on courtship and marriage,
Or simply a deeper study of God's written word, then join us Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. on our Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as Channel 98 on Central TV. Join in and be a part of this special Bible studies effort by praying that God continues to lead and bless this ministry, by becoming a faithful viewer and inviting your friends and family to like and share our programs, by your kind donations and of course your generous financial contributions. Contact us at 416139351 or send us an email at atn@cbm.belizeunion.org. We are located at 10 3/4 miles Philip Golson Highway. Thank you for being a part of the ATN ministry. It is our prayer that you will keep the book of the law always on your lips.
meditate on it day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to that which is written therein. then thou shalt make thy way prosperous and have good success.
According to the National Survey on Drug Abuse and Health, 1 in 10 adolescents, 10.7%, had a major depressive episode in the previous year, and 1.4% had a substance abuse disorder combined with depression. Sadly, only 38% received treatment. That's a fact, but there's hope. Knowing common depression symptoms among adolescents can help parents and friends offer help in a loving and non-judgmental way. Connecting depressive adolescents with adequate health care and treatment is a critical first step in reducing the high prevalence of depression and suicide in this age group. So let's judge less and help more.
A happy EMS week to each and every one of you who form a part of our emergency medical services team, especially here in Belize. My name is Pastor Javier Canul, and it is my privilege to celebrate with you under the theme, Rise to the Challenge. It reminds me of a Bible verse that is found in Philippians chapter 4, verse 13, that says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. The strength to rise not just to the challenge, but to supersede it is my prayer for each and every one of you today. A happy EMS week once more, and God's richest blessings on each of you. Enjoy your week.
And we are back. Welcome back to Defining Your Health. Shantel Neal sitting in again for Miss Tracy Lewis. And with me today on set is, I want to say elder, I'm not sure why. Sir Javier as well, Canul Sr., and we've been having an exciting conversation on the importance of EMT, or sometimes it's called EMS.
Well, EMS is the world, EMT is the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So far, we've covered a lot. We've spoken about what the abbreviation means. We've spoken about how did you get into it, into the whole career. We've also talked about how others could join in, and as well as your very own corporation. Now we want to move on in the conversation this morning with EMT Week. We just heard Pastor Canul there with a beautiful prayer, and he greeted everyone by saying Happy EMT Week. So tell the viewers, what is EMT Week all about?
Okay, so basically, every year in the US, they celebrate EMS Week. I can't remember the year, but President Ford was the person who decided that they want to respect EMTs. And so they picked a day, which is around this time,
Okay.
a week, which is around this time to celebrate EMS. This week in Belize, we're celebrating EMT Week, recognizing EMTs from all over the country. We have our root from where EMS came from, and it actually started out from when the Wagner's Foundation came to Belize to donate Wings of Hope. And they realized that, hey, we'll donate Wings of Hope, but we're going to know EMT to bring patients. We fly there wherever they need to go, and they decided that they were going to take, like I mentioned, Dr. John Arana, who was just an EMT at that point, and they took him to the US, and he came back as a full-fledged paramedic. And then they started organizing to get more people involved, and they sent other people to Belize to become trained. By the time, they continuously did this for a period of years, and by the time 2020, we had roughly about, say, 600 EMTs. Out of that 600 EMTs, some births started, and it started with a boom because they selected some of the best people or those who didn't have a job at that time, like myself, to come aboard. And at that point, we started organizing and creating EMS system in Belize. along with Yvette Burks and a couple other people, we started to organize it, get it going. How to do licensure exam, because every year you have to do your relicensure exam. And so at this point, I would say roughly we have about 1,500. I'm just making a rough click here.
Of
EMTs all over the country of Belize. Unfortunately, out of that amount, we only have a limited amount who is actually licensed to practice. They are practicing, but they're not licensed. And this is.
But they're on their way.
We're hoping. Well, they're not on their way because they've been living with it and getting away with it, so they're not licensed. And I always ask people. I always tell people out there, if you're gonna hire an EMT, ask them for their license and make sure that it's current. It has to be updated. No? And as a part of EMT week, we decided that we needed to start with a prayer. And we were back and forth deciding how we're going to do this, because we wanted all of us to go to a church. And the guys in PG said, well, how we going to get to Belize, or how we going to get to Nia? Well, somebody mentioned that, we could just get a pastor for pray. And then somebody mentioned, oh, but you have a son who is a pastor. And I said, okay. So I asked him.
You've been covering all the bases, doctors, pastors, I don't know, what else going to
Thank you. And I asked Jeremy, and I should say Pastor Jeremy, and he readily accepted. And that's how we got that video for it. And we posted it within the group.
If anybody else needs prayer, would be the EMTs, because you guys are there to save lives, right?
Yes.
So prayers is very much needed.
Yes. And so as a result of that, we started with the prayer. And then we decided we're going to do media rounds. Wherever the EMT is, you can visit a media of your choice, wherever you are. So yesterday we had people visiting in Orange Walk, the media. We had people down south doing media interviews all over the country. Today we're going into classes. The people in Orange Walk are out in the park. They're teaching hands-only CPR and the importance of hands-only CPR, which we'll talk about a little bit. And I personally will be doing a visit to one of my favorite places, the Stella Maris School. And I like that place in both capacities. I visited them. And down south, we have people visiting schools again. So every day we have something going on. I live it one day at a time. I am mostly a media type person, and I would do this for the general public. So I cover most bases. In Belize City, because I would like to think that the EMTs are very busy where they're working and they need their rest time, so to speak. So I am one of the person in Belize City who is pushing on to get things done in Belize City.
We appreciate this great effort that you're putting into getting the word out. Because you know what? You won't be around forever, unfortunately.
Oh.
And so we need to be training the next generation of EMTs.
Don't tell me that.
I know.
I feel like I was dead tomorrow.
Harsh reality.
Yeah, actually, I congratulated. We have some new EMTs, like for example, the guys in Orange Walk. It's their first EMT week, so they're pushing. So I just congratulated them, and I tell them, at least I know that I have somebody who is making a move to support in my position.
So all those who are viewing, or if you have a family member who is an EMT, take the time out to just say thank you.
That's right.
We want to just big up all the EMTs at this point in time, for your hard work, your dedication, the amount of hours you put in, the interest, the sacrifices you make. The same way we big up our teachers or nurses, we should give the same big up to our EMTs, because
that's right.
Hey, they're the first people we meet when we get into an ambulance. Before you get to the hospital, if you need to access an ambulance, EMTs.
That's right.
So anywhere you go and you see an EMT, you give them a big up today.
Buy them a plate of food, or buy them ice cream.
Yes.
Come on, be nice to me when you see me come
We
over.
have to big up there. Let's get those plates of
Let's
food.
take around with you. I just want to big up one ambulance service, new ambulance service that is creating itself and making an impact. It's the Island Emergency Services out in San Pedro. They're fairly new. There is an EMT by the name of Mr. Abner Bakab, of which I support, and a couple other EMTs from Orange Walk. We support them, Annette and Tito. And they have a group of MFRs, fairly young MFR people who are also pushing out there. So I want to congratulate them. I want to thank you to keep up the good work. On that note, I also would like to say for EMS, where are we at this point? Well, we're trying to form an association because we realize that only as a group we can make move forward. So in the process of forming an organization, we've spoken to some lawyers and we're trying to get a memorandum of understanding going so that we can move together as a body and work under one umbrella. So that's one of the highlights that we're working on. We're hoping next year we'll have a president and a vice president and everything going on. But for right now, we're just freelancing, and so different faces you'll see who are trying to make that move forward. We have a lot of challenges. And some of the challenges we're having is that right now we don't have who is the licensing body. I know at one point it was Bert. No, the ministry is saying, hey, we're doing it. No, we have a lot of things going on. So we want to form this association to know where we're going, and we want to make sure that we make that step forward, where we're going, and how we're going to do this.
That sounds like progress to me.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing like working together.
Oh, yes, definitely.
In unity, there's strength. So I'm super proud that you guys are making an effort to come together.
Yes.
You know, come together and to make the case of a professional, organized body.
That's right.
So as we're segueing into this part of the conversation, I've seen a lot. You've done a lot. You've seen a lot. So I want for you to share with me. You might need more water. I want for you to share with me one experience that might have impacted you. Like you'll take it to your grave. Like share. You know, it could be good. It could be a bad one. But you know,
there are
out of every good out of every bad there could be something good.
I want to tell you that to be an EMT, you have to be a special person, because the things that you see out there are terrible, horrible. I don't know what to call it. It's an amazing. One, I know that my weakness is our kids. My weakness is a child. When I see a child hurt, it's the worst thing for me. I just let adrenaline take over at that point. I can recall going to a murder. And this is gross, by the way. Just so you know. A guy who had he was mentally challenged, and he went in and he killed two females, and he ended up taking a dagger, about this size, and pushed it up her vagina. And for me, that was mentally, it was crazy. Seeing that, and what would have wanted a man to do such a thing to somebody makes me wonder. So one of the worst things I always talk about. And one of the other things I can talk about is going to an accident scene where I see somebody intestines running for miles on the road. You'll actually see intestines going until you finally reach the person's body for miles in traffic accidents. So those are some of the things. And nowadays it's becoming so common. I remember my first incident at mile 20, just before the Belize with that huge curve. It was one of the first major incident I was on, where some people from Belmopan, about 18 people, were turned in a traffic accident. And I was the scene commander at that point, where you hear everybody crying all around you, but you have to stay focused and just take care of people. One of the guy was trapped inside. I can remember my colleague Barbara Martinez, and that was a huge mass casualty. We had to get more EMTs to come out there at that point. We had the people from Spanish Lookout. Spanish Lookout also has a ambulance service, and they come out there, and it was crazy how we had to rescue this guy. Literally, the fire department came, pry him out of the vehicle, while we, the EMTs, were in there protecting the guy, making sure he's breathing, giving him oxygen, make sure his IV line is going. But the fire department were working all around us and making sure that they get the guy out alive and get him to the hospital alive. Unfortunately, God wanted him, so he passed away at the hospital. And those are some of the challenges. Some of the things that hurt is that you know that you did what you should have done. However, the patient still died. And I always get the comfort, and I always tell people no. The younger people, I always say, so long as you did the right thing, that's what counts, because God will do the other part. If He wants that person, it doesn't matter what you do, that person will face. Just make sure you do the right thing. And that's it. So those are some of the challenges that you face. You do everything for patients, and they still die at the end.
Well,
those are some of the challenges.
I'm not sure if our viewers sense it from where you are, but this is a God.
It is, and I
It's
want.
a God-given gift, and I could sense your passion for this work, you know, and only you could understand, or other EMTs will understand what you guys deal with day to day. You know,
Yes.
we see you guys going in your ambulance, and you all look like superheroes sometimes, but I mean, it's real serious work.
That's right.
you
One of
know?
the things that I want to say here, and I think I told you this, most EMTs, by the way, are Seventh-day Adventists, or they were, or wherever they are at. And some of the things that comes to mind is that some people say God says to pray for these people, but remember, you have to pray and work. You can't be just praying, because while you're praying, they're bleeding to death. So you have to be praying and working at the same time. All right. So I just wanted to picture it that we have a lot of Seventh-day Adventist people, personnel who are EMT. All right.
And
Just wanted to picture that in.
And since you mentioned about prayer and work, we have some work to do, right?
Yes.
We have some work to do. We cannot have one of the best EMTs in Belize on set without him doing a demo for us.
I want to ask you though, because you promised me that you would have played this thing with the EMT, the pictures or the faces.
Yeah.
Can we do that
Yes.
before we do this?
We do. I believe.
Because this is important for me, because while we were coming up, you mentioned that to me. And that video really touched me, because it showed so many EMTs who are the local EMTs who
Yes,
actually
we have that
function
video
as
with the
EMSs
local
in Belize.
EMTs. So we're just gonna work it out as we begin our demo, and while we're
Okay. So let
getting
me
this together, you can just
let me
go
start
ahead.
out by saying that before you take care of anybody, if you're coming on the road or somebody say, "Come help me, ma," make sure you know what you're getting into. If somebody's at home and they're bedridden and they're not breathing well, you need to know why. You can't just rush up there. Maybe there's some chemicals leaking. And if you go up there and smell anything, now what smells so and continue to take care of the patient. You need to make sure that they take care of that chemical, or find out what's the cause of why the patient is having that type of reaction. You go to an accident scene, make sure that it's safe before you start work. And if the scene is not safe, call the necessary agencies to make it safe. For example, if you saw a man in a machete chop up people out there, you're not going to try to help this man because you will get chopped. All right. So make sure that your scene is safe before you do anything.
So what exactly will we be doing?
Okay. So I had to mention that. I know we're rushing and we're running for time, but I had to mention that before you do anything. Once that scene is safe, you then go and you look for breathing. The patient has to be breathing. If the patient is not breathing, you need to make them breathe. The number one thing that blocks your airway always is your tongue. When your tongue falls back, it blocks your airway. So at night time, if you're married or whatever, and your husband or your wife sleep, you're hearing, it's because the tongue has fallen backwards. And I remember I get elbow and say, "Hey, turn to your side." And when I turn on my side, my tongue dropped on the side. I don't hear no more snoring, right?
So as you're working that out, I just want to share that you'll be demonstrating with us
How to open
for
an airway.
us today how to open airwaves in 2 ways.
So basically what you have here is a symbol of a head. And basically if you see the tongue has fallen back, so this clear airway should be the airway right here. So if you open this like this, what actually happens is that air continues to flow through. All right? And now that I've showed you that, I want to talk about the 2 ways to open an airway. And the first one is called the head tilt. And if I may, I'll have to come to you and do that one. Is that all right? I could slide my chair over.
I feel scared. I don't know.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's quick. So what you want to do, stay seated. Stay seated. I'll have to come to you.
Yes.
Stay there. Okay. So I hope I can fit into the video. Okay. So to do this, basically I want you to hang your head down.
Hang my head down.
That's right. Now, to do this, if you notice, all this is closed right here. All right? It's closed up. So we need to make sure that this becomes open. How do we do that? We take one hand on the forehead. We call it the forehead. 2 fingers at the corner of the jaw, not under the jaw. Because if I put it under the jaw and her mouth is open the mouth, and I do this, I will actually close the mouth. But if I put it at the corner of the jaw, which would be here, and I do this, the entire head goes back, and automatically you see all this airway opens up. Okay? So that's what we call the jaw thrust maneuver. And we use the jaw thrust maneuver if we do not suspect other technique is called the jaw thrust maneuver.
But before you go on, I just want to ask, this be the same procedure for a child?
That's the same procedure for a child. For adult, child, running.
What circumstance would you have a blocked ear?
A blocked airway can be, you're talking about elderly, most of the time. Like I said, if you sleep at night, your airway can be blocked. If somebody gets ill, then what happens to them is that they have a more difficult time to keep your airway open. If you put your head down like this, you guys at home do this. And when you do this, tell me if you're breathing well. It's a little difficult to breathe. So imagine if you're sick and you're like this. You won't breathe well. So at that point, that's when you need to make that adjustment. You open the airway, or if they're lying down, put a pillow right behind the head about here, so that head can that way. Now the jaw thrust maneuver is the one that you would do if there is an accident or anything that has to do with damage to the spine. And your spine runs, let me see, could you turn a little bit?
Sure.
The spine runs anywhere from about here, okay, way down to the butt area. So if we were to push somebody on the side like that, it would damage the spine. And that's why we need to open the airway using the jaw thrust maneuver. It's a little difficult to show, but let me see if I can do it. Here, would you put your head down a little bit? I will stand there. And basically, you'll have to put 2 fingers on the corner of the head, right here. Okay, and what you would do is without pushing the head back, what you would do, what you would do is, it's a little difficult to do here. But basically, you would, if you hold this for me, hold it right. So basically, what you would do is you would hold right here. So this airway, let me close it. Here. So this airway is closed, right? And we need to open it. So what you would do is actually get 2 fingers under the chin, right here.
Okay.
And what you want to do, it hurts, by the way, but the patient will be unconscious or something, so they won't feel it. And then this area here would rest on the cheekbone. And then this finger here would come, and what would happen, you see the jaw open when I do this, without moving the head back. And if you look carefully, you see a little space there. But the airway, let me remove my hand, and you notice that air is still coming through, versus if it's like that. Okay, so using the jaw thrust, just getting
breathing.
That's right.
The
Get
air
them to start to
passing
take
through.
air to get through.
Right, very nice.
That's the jaw thrust. It's a little difficult. If I had a mannequin, I would show you. If you were lying down,
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think I'm good.
Okay, so after you manage the person here when opening and getting them to breathe, the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that they're not bleeding.
Okay.
If they are bleeding, you need to stop the bleeding. Now, when we talk about bleeding, we can talk about gunshots, stab wound, any kind of bleeding, cut, anything. So if somebody said the man got a gunshot and you never talk to me about that, you control bleeding the same way. From about here, anywhere here, it's considered the trunk of your body. So any part of your trunk of your body where you get hurt, all you want to do is apply direct pressure. A series of clot.
So while all of this is happening, you should have already contacted the ambulance,
that's right? That's right.
Because we don't want nobody to play superhero.
You get that amount of clot and you want to just push it on the patient's body.
Okay.
That's direct pressure.
So
push it down as hard as you can. Okay? Now, when it comes to the extremities, which is your arms and your legs, you do what we call a tourniquet, which is really simple. If they're bleeding severely and you put direct pressure and no one stops, you go to a tourniquet. But now we're kind of rushing for time here, so there's other things we could do. Get a piece of stick or a screwdriver, put it here, and you then turn this. This is the thing that this little stick or screwdriver will be the one that will tighten. So you turn it. You will turn it until the bleeding stops. All right, you'll notice bleeding stop. All right. If bleeding does not stop, you can turn it up to 3 times 360 degrees. So you can imagine the amount of pressure that's going to go
feel
here.
it.
Okay. If you have bleeding in what we call junctional areas, and junctional areas are, if you look again, can I touch you? I know I just asked permission.
Okay.
Okay, so right here, You notice your neck come this way and then it come this way. This is a junction. We can't put a tourniquet here if it stop bleeding, right? Because we are killing her, right? So, and another junctional area is here, your shoulders. So, if you put your arm this way, from here and it goes down, this is a junction as well. The junctional area here, and the last place for a junctional area would be your groin area, because your leg comes this way and then it goes that way. So that again is a junctional area. If persons are bleeding from those areas, then you have to pack the wound. Now, remember, it's only the junctional areas that you will pack the wound. If you do not understand what I'm saying well now, please review the video before you then try to do anything. Review these things before you even go through.
Because we can make it worse, right?
Because you can do damage to people. All right? So I was very specific that use a tourniquet on your extremity. You apply direct pressure on any part of the trunk of your body. Don't pack your trunk. But you can pack wounds on the junctional area because these will bleed fast and severe, but you can die. So let's say this is a stimulator for stop bleeding. Let's say you're bleeding here at your neck. This is a stimulator because we would pack the blood and we shoot blood in here and blood will be spewing out and you have to stop it. I want you to just hold that. No, don't put that. Let's turn the other way. Hold it right here. This is your neck, the junctional area. So what you want to do here is this. So what you want to do here is you look for the source of bleeding and push your fingers in the wound itself. So you have to identify the source.
So why this is a special class of people.
All right? And then once you find that bleeding, you will see it slow down. You then take the other piece of cloth and do what you call a sewing technique. As you push this in, you lift up this finger and you push it down. So it works like a sewing machine. Look at this right now. Look. In, up, in, up, in, up, in, and you pack the wound, and the remainder cloth that is left, take it, you put it on top, and you want to push down hard on from finishing with direct pressure.
Yes.
So that is how you would stop bleeding. So bleeding can be stopped in different ways, and there's more to it. If you want to follow up on this, you can go to. Do I need to go back to this corner or stay close to you? You can follow up on how to stop the bleed. Just type it up in Google and you'll find that, how to stop the bleed, and it will guide you through that area. Okay? The last thing I want to talk about is how to immobilize something. If you notice, everything that we talk here, we don't need nothing special. What did we use?
Things that you could find right around.
You use your hands to open an airway. And the last thing you could do is start immobilizing a part of your body. If you need to use if you need to use a piece of stick face, splint your body and you got no machete, just put it here, ask the patient to hold it. And that's immobilizing it. So there's lots of ways and lots of things you can do to help somebody. But again, I want to encourage you to take a basic first aid class. Wherever you want to, but remember that I'm the best, okay? And if you want the proper training, call us at ABC Life Support.
We see where a pastor gets it from.
All right.
Just having fun at your expense. We love you, Pastor Jeremy.
Yeah. So that's just some of the tips. I want to say, as we go back to EMS week, that I would like to take the time out to wish all EMTs all over the country and wish you a happy EMS week and thank you for the special job that you keep doing. Keep it going, and I always tell you, do not take any shortcuts. Do it the proper way, and you will move along, and you'll be blessed. You will save more lives. Your reward will be in heaven.
Amen.
Keep it up. Respect.
Well, I want to continue with thank you. Thank you for coming. I know I kind of pressured you to come. I said, you need to come. But I'm so happy that you took up the challenge to come here and share wealth of knowledge. And we want to ask that you continue to keep up the good work as well. I know this is a passion of yours, and you're not going to stop because there's a lot more people, there's a lot more youth that could get into becoming a GP. So we need you to continue pushing so that this is an organization so that it can grow, this association.
The association, yeah.
And we also want to thank you, our viewers, for staying with us to the end of this program today. We had a wonderful time. If you joined us on the last, I want to encourage you to go back and watch the program. Share it with a family member or friend so that they too can receive the blessing that we've received. And with that, we want to say thank you so much again for joining us here at Define Care Health. See you again next week, same time, same place.
Peace out.
As a non-profit organization, the Adventist Television Network solely relies on your financial support. By partnering with us through a monthly donation, you will help us to continue to fulfill the mission in taking the gospel into all the world. For more information, please call 613-9351 or email us at atnfin@cbm.belizeunion.org. Thank you for your prayers and support of the ATN ministry, and together we may hasten the soon coming of our Lord Jesus Christ.